What up, everybody? It's Ponter here, and today I've got a special video because it's actually 3 games all on Fjord, which is actually not a bad map, in my opinion. Thing with Fjord, like a few others, is it came after Soviet Assault came out, I think. So it was late in the game. Like people who were playing from the closed beta had basically been playing on the original set of maps for like a year and grew quite fond of them. And then Fjord and a few others got dumped on everybody and really, I don't know, never really took off. But games were played on it. But today we're not talking about good competitive games. We're talking about pubs. And this game that we're watching right now was played like a week ago, and here's the teams. Like, they're pretty, in my opinion. They're yeah, and yeah, this map very pretty. Look, you got northern lights and oil rigs, like mountains and snow, and you have the nice darkness. And yeah, right here, Bravo is complaining about stacking, and like, let's look at these teams. Like, we've got NATO sides got, we're down a player, and they have some good ones, like Sky King and Wally are good, and Sigma Master is good, and Deemer. And but I really don't believe in stacking in pubs. Like, it's a pretty it's a bitch thing to complain about stacking. Like, if you think the teams are stacked, you should play harder. And and yeah, Revlif, I disagree with you, but the issue is you could have bad games if the teams are really, really stacked. But what we're going to see, and what I want to talk about today, is the actual map Fjord. And I think and we're not going to talk about who's being talked about here. And this map, I don't think is being played correctly currently in pubs. Like, it matters, but I don't think the pub meta, if you could say that there's a pub meta, is not good. Specifically on the USSR side, at least every game I've played on Fjord, the USSR side makes a critical error, and regardless of who's playing or how good they play, they make a humongous error, and it costs them the game, and they get embarrassed. In the meantime, we're just going to enjoy me, shredding the noobs, overextending their tanks. And Meza, he's trying. He's a new player. You're always going to have a new player. But see, look at what happened here. Bravo solo capped the side point. Like, I got to figure out what this is actually called. The base entrance. And the base entrance on this map is the most important point. It's not the triple pointer. These 2 points are gimmies for either side. If you don't hold these, you're probably going to lose anyways. But if you do the math, 1, 2, 3, 4 is bigger than 1, 2, and a maybe 3, 4, 5. So right now USSR holds this triple pointer, and they're getting a tick on us, but we hold this and this, so it's not a devastating tick. But this 3-pointer is a liability, and you're gonna see why. It's a trap. It's like it's not a defensible position because of this exposed point here. So yeah, sure, the USSR, they have this nice hill that they can set up and develop a position on, and as long as they keep the info under control, which they seem to do. But look, they can't defend this point. And here's the other thing that we do. And this is what you do when you think there's a stack. And when good player comes in, there's definitely not a stack, because this team has 2 complete utter noobs. And yeah, and we have pretty much no noobs. But we do have Bravo, who's a pussy. And then this is the plan. Go med air. Like, good player's gonna go med air and shut down their air player. And there I'm dodging an air to air. Fuck you guys for even trying air to airs. but good players going to go med air, and it's because we know Wally is playing heavy air, and we want to control. We want to tilt Wally. It's like it's psychological warfare. That's next level right there. You know, you got to mentally dominate them, not just dominate them through good play. But note again, look at this position. It's not defended in the slightest. You know, we've got a couple inf. And yeah, we're just laughing about this. This is morale. A couple inf. And you can't say that USSR team doesn't have a good armor player or a good support player. They've got Sig, who's playing armor. Or no, Stu or Sky. I'm just going to call you Sky King. Because I can't pronounce your other fucking name. He's a good armor. He's a good player. And so you can't blame it. And I'm just going to go fuck around in the back, killing their Jeeps because I love it. And then Sig is doing double arty, I guess, because they're not trying, because they think it's stacked, or he just wants to arty noob. But already it's beginning, and this is the issue with USSR not capturing this point. So this point not defended, you could easily push it, but they don't push it, and instead they just try to hold this, and they hold this 3-pointer, and they're lulled into a false sense of security, and the arty just comes crashing down. And then, you know, seeing that there is no support because this guy's already noobing, I just go and charge in and, you know, lose some ranked up choppers, but I kill 2 support, and I'd say that's worth it. Just to YOLO choppers. Like, I'm going to do that. If you're going to do double arty, you know, you're going to get punished. And then just leaving them a parting gift. I see them dropping Jeeps, so I drop. You know, you can see those Jeeps come in from very far. So as soon as you see those choppers, you can kind of predict where they're going to fall, and you could just have a TA lined up. And clusters are good because they also hurt choppers. So, you know, if you drop clusters on choppers, it's going to kill them. So it's even better than a tank buster. Because tank busters, you gotta get really lucky to kill choppers with it, and now we could have decapped this and got a positive tick a lot longer. I don't know why we're just sitting there. I guess we don't want to, like, we have complete vision and control over this. You know, it's game over, and yeah, they're going all support. They're gonna play AA, and you know, at this point, Revlis doesn't give a shit because it's game over. And just to talk about the infantry, you know, Vint. Yeah, we're daring them. Vint plays a good, you know, I disagree with 99% of the stuff he says, but look at this aggressive, I just love this aggressive play. Vint and Frenok together, this is what you want. This is your dream combination of 2 competent infantry players just spreading out all over the map and attacking from multiple angles. Like, look at this is disgusting. Like, and there's nothing and meanwhile, Houseby, you know, he's trying his best, but he's getting spawn raped. Like, look, he can't even make it into the woods before getting killed. And, you know, and this is game over. It's just disgusting. Yeah, it's a trash game. And it's because USSR, even though they had a strong... It's not... They were just as strong as NATO side, but... Yeah, you can make excuses, sure. But they never contested this point, even though it was lightly defended. And I'm going to show you another... The next game I'm going to show is from the other perspective. Actually, I have 2 games from the other perspective, and you're going to see how critical this point is. But at this point, it's brutal. They can never get up here in strength, and they focus completely on this area. Meanwhile, we're flanking them. You know, Meza's being an idiot. There's nothing really you can do in that regard. But we just have such an advantage in map control. You know, like, look, like their spawn is just like a 24-hour rape fest. Like, there's nothing they can do. And we just keep decapping this and holding this and decapping this, and it's like it's game over. And so yeah, this is game 1. I'm gonna try to keep this moving along because, you know, best air though, best air NA. And Bravo, even though he was bitching about stuff, he still played a pretty decent support, at least in the back half. And, you know, or one armor player was Yeah, very stacked. And yeah, I could to go on and on about stacking, but let's just get to the next. Let's get to the next one. So this is Fjord 2. I think I played this like right after that last game, pretty much. And we're playing, and here's the team. So again, this is a strong team. Wally is good, Red Nutter is decent, good player is good, Bloody, he's okay, Bravo's okay, Super Skunk's good, I'm okay, and the Armor, he can score really high. And then their team is also strong. They got Sky King, Vint, Rev, General X also, but they also have some weak players. I mean, Seraph is decent at multi-rolling, but I went into this game thinking, hey, it's Ponter, Wally, Air. We should wreck these guys. And immediately I know that the importance of this position, but probably a mistake to overcommit so hard. Like, I lose a scout trying to pop off a missile, and the flares don't work. And again, we've got a stupid Armor player who's just going to play poorly. But that doesn't matter because you really only need one competent Armor player at all times. And General X is playing Armor, and he's competent. And then they have two competent support players. I mean, Vince okay, and I don't know who else is playing. So I think, Sky King's playing other support. So those are two competent ones. And really, like, defensive numbers, like, there's literally so many heavy tanks stacked up in a newbie stack that we can't kill them all fast enough. But note it, like, we control this space. We've won this space, but what is our Armor and support combo doing? Oh, they're capping this point. And I'm just going to zoom out to here so we can see the whole thing, and they're capping this point, and they're developing this position because it's the high ground and it's safe and whatever. Neither of our Armor players is pushing up this hill, and we have an infantry player. Skunk's trying, but really Skunk is trying to cover the whole map. There's only one inf. That was probably another mistake. Having two inf is going to win you a lot more games than having anything else, especially on this map, especially in the early game. But look, there's no Armor dealing with these AA. So what you're going to see in this game is, they pick off one. What you're going to see in this game is basically Wally and myself getting frustrated by the lack of pressure being put on these guys. And you shouldn't let the other team develop a position like this. And the only reason we're even shooting at them now is because Skunk has inf in there, and that inf is going to die really fast, if this team is worth their salt. So now when you're in a position in this map, and it's always going to come down to assume both teams are equal, assume both teams are playing at their best. What do you do as USSR when NATO holds the base entrance? Like, you got to push them off the base entrance, or else you will lose eventually, and you have to do it consistently. And right now, I think we're able to overwhelm them. I love killing support and killing tanks. It's great fun, and we get out of there without losing too many choppers. So that's a good move, but no follow through. The support gets sniped on the way, and then the tanks stay back, basically behind this line, because they think, again, this position is strong. We'll just defend this position, and it'll all be fine. But now, here's the issue. They can, because they hold this, and they hold the woods, they can push to here and control this space, and we can't really do anything. And look at that. This is just absurd that they can push AA. And notice, no one's attacking here. Nobody's wasting any time here. It's all about this space. And so we realize, okay, we've lost the forest. That's critical. And we can kill these overextended tanks as much as we want, but we've lost the cap, and now they're ticking against us. Or push into the woods is pretty much unsupported because they can attack from up here and from over here. And let's see if Bloody gets the air-to-air. Almost. And yeah, naked tanks, because it is very tough to protect tanks in this spot. But look, like they can keep their support here. From the USSR perspective, you want to keep NATO pinned in this area, so they have to go up through here, or they have to fuck around over here, or they have to stay up here. But to give them all of this is too much map control. And look, like the inf drops get obliterated instantly because they have medium already up here. That's the other thing. Like the meta has definitely improved, or at least the quality of play in these pub games has drastically improved. Like the micro of air players is better, the micro of support players is better. So you can't get like, yeah, Strength is just getting owns. It's tough to play. It's tough to get away with stuff that you used to be able to get away with. Like infantry surviving in these woods is very tough. And finally, we're getting some drops up here, but still, like, I hate to criticize the armor player, but like, there's no. Oh yeah, nice try. There's no scouts giving line of sight, and there's no effort to get up here and establish a position. It's all focused over here. Like Demor's armor is just Demor and Red Nutter have piled like all their heavies over here and nothing else. Like this heavy's barely engaged. This heavy's just asking to get killed. And yeah, we're getting frustrated now because an air player running into something like this where there's two support players kind of with nice flat grounds, you're gonna lose more choppers than kill stuff, because you'll spend all your time popping flares and scanning and desperately dodging missiles and sniping support units, and then by the time you're done, the tanks, you're out of missiles, there's an air-to-air on the way, and the tanks are pulled back. Here's another thing. What we did in that last game and what they're doing here is putting Jeeps in this very sexy position, and their med art. You can't let a team have Jeeps there. Like, you have to push. First of all, you should always just kill Jeeps no matter what. But it's a very advantageous position for Jeeps because it's so central to the location. You can just, it's so fast to repair. It increases the tempo of the airplay, so a lot of players will like put Jeeps really far away, and I understand that conservative mindset, but because shit like that happens. But like, you saw that last game. We had those Jeeps there the whole fucking game, and nobody stopped them. I will say the tank and support positions up here were brutal. This is like just a no-fly zone the whole game, and also back here. Like, these are two areas that support can thrive in. And just again, look at like the armor and support piling up there, and I'm just gonna speed it up, and you just watch the pattern of this play. Now that I feel a lot of the times when you have a game, people kind of decide, okay, I'm gonna focus on this area and play in this area and try to win here, and they'll ignore the rest of the map and kind of keep doing the same thing over and over. And it is insanity. Like the definition of insanity, and it's worse for noobs when they're like, I'm gonna drop a 6 stack of APCs over and over again and overextend them and die to like Ponter Air, and they'll just keep doing that and never learn. That's insanity. But also like grinding out for this 3-pointer when you have a brutal tick against you, and it's not gonna work because you've got like this much arc of positioning versus like this much arc of positioning. You know, you're not going to win that fight. It doesn't matter how good you are. You know, you're just going to get pinned and spawn raped. And people start bitching about getting pinned and spawn raped because it's happening to them, but they don't realize, you know, it's all about positioning in these cases. And just like, look at the TA damage is focused right here. Like, that's where all the craters are. But there's so much more map. Like, this is where the fight should be. Like, we never dropped a heavy arty to shake him up here and push the tank up and decap this. And like, yeah, we get bled out and slaughtered. And the only positive thing I guess you could say is that people scored high, and I know it's not about winning. Like, Ponter, you're like, don't try hard. Like, this isn't a clan match. This is about scoring. But the first game I showed that finally we do some drops and get cleaned up. But so yeah, that's game number 2. Decent scores all around. So yeah, no, the two guys who took the high ground on the flank, they got the highest score and they did very well. Demore managed to get a decent score as well, just from sitting up there and camping on this hill, but you didn't win the game. And yeah, he even got the highest armor because this guy is just godly at getting score. I don't know how the fuck he does it, but yeah. That was a brutal loss. I was pissed off at that game, and that's why I did this. And now for match number 3, we're gonna go back in time to, and this is gonna be educational for a few reasons. So first of all, it's gonna show the quality of pub play back then, back in like 2008. If I can find this fucking game, yeah, here we go. It's called Epic Cap. Played 2009. So yeah, this is after Soviet assault. And already, like, this is like when Wick is on the way out. So I'm playing on the USSR side. I'm playing with Viking of War. I think we must have been communicating together, or he was like a friend. This is my DDK days, which I can't even remember this clan. That's how long ago it was. And this is pure pub. It's a noob. This is a noob game. We're starting with an arty. I'm starting with just this light tank spam. We've got a newbie armor player like starting way in the back. Like, I don't know what the fuck that's about. We have no good air player, like no scouts. But look at this. And this is what's going to happen in this game. We're going to get pushed relentlessly on this flank. And yeah, Criminal is like criminally stupid in this game. So, well, I can't even talk about, like, these players. They're not playing anymore, and they were shit then, and they're shit now. So that's immediately a strike against this game, or using this as an example game. But here's me missing the cap. I'm just giving him a chance there. Just giving him a chance. We still haven't even capped this, and we haven't capped that, so it's not a good start. Can our quad air come to the rescue? No. He's gonna leisurely strike them. So we're just gonna wait. We'll speed this up. We finally get this cap, and again, you'd think, okay, you're getting lulled into the same trap, just sitting on the triple pointer. We drop we're not against any good infantry players, so we can get away with that, but we push. And in that first game I showed, they could have pushed us. So it's not a question of like, oh, Ponter, there was nothing here, so you pushed, so that's not a legitimate reason to say that you should always push here. But that first game, there was nothing there for like most of it. Like, it was a Fugazi. Like, all of like our armor and its support were clustered over here, being idiots, getting like dunked on by air for the first 5 minutes of the game before it turned against us. So and this team overcommit and just like pushed our shit in, and now they're like rolling through our back hilariously, because triple pointer is more important than double pointer. But notice, like, we've got the tick back on our side, and we're gonna clean them up here because they're overextended like dumbasses. And at this point, the game is pretty much over because we hold this point and we've established a position. We've got an inf for line of sight. I mean, we've got one support, so we better hope that. And this is a decent air player, this Foxfire dude. But he's busy killing newbie stupid tanks over there, not the smart tanks over here. And then this is how you abuse pub players. Just let them decap things. And this is why, really the only way you can generate a decent score with armor is capping. So everything is all about capping. like aggressive caps, YOLO caps, just being smart about it, keeping your units spread out. Like notice this is strong position. Like D-Moore was sitting up here with his star heavy tank, racking up points all game, but you need to have tanks up here as well, because this position alone is very weak, but this position is incredibly strong, and it's very hard to dislodge. And again, we get another cap, and we're just cranking up the score. And they're going in for round 2 on this. And my response is first, let them decap. Second, own them with TA to generate more TA. And in the meantime, newbie air going in alone. But yeah, this is a pretty terrifying push to deal with. Like you could get spawn raped instantly, but you get lucky sometimes with those heavy airstrikes. Meanwhile, position strong. They've gone to medium air to further frustrate. So you could say yes, NATO side, bad team. USSR side, not much better. We've got a medium air, he's doing God's work. We got a already noob, a complete clueless armor player, and I don't think any of our air players get a scout this entire game. And even me, like 12 minutes in, I don't get a scout. I'm relying on drops for line of sight, and I want to maintain, my stack of heavies, because I'm all alone right now. And if anything, if I could critique my play back in like the old days, it was the lack of scouts. At least the replays I've watched, I've rarely used scouts as much as I should have. But nowadays, there it is finally. Nowadays, everybody gets scouts mostly, and it's a humongous error if you don't. And people rightly will verbally abuse you if you don't get a scout. And yeah, we'll just speed this up a little bit. We're getting spammed with arty, fuel air bombs. And just note, like, those last 2 Fjord games were far more intense. Even though it's like it's an 8v8, it's just that players were so bad back then. Like, I assume it's because it's like if you had a bunch of rats stuck in a barrel and they're all just like cannibalizing each other and fighting for survival, and maybe you had a whole bunch of barrels over the years and you just like saved the rats that survived the barrel, and then you dump all of those rats into a barrel, and that's basically like the pubs that you see today. It's like the barrel with all the survivor rats. So, the quality of play is good, but it actually kind of ruins. And look at this, so close. It ruins the pub games when you have very good players playing it like a clan match, basically, because the scores don't get very high. Like the tight games, you don't score very high because it's so tight. Like my average score took a shit last week. Like I lost maybe like 20 average score on my profile just from playing tight games. You're not getting pubs. You're not pub stomping. You're just, trying to grind it out, and I lose all my good tanks, and I lose my Zen, but it's okay. So no, like we held the hill, controlled this, and did a stupid nuke. Obviously, no pressure over here at all from their infantry. Just another nuke for good measure. We'll just enjoy this. We'll enjoy the spectacle of Fjord. Fjord's a good map. I would play competitive games on it. It's much better of the snowy maps. It's much better than Xmas. Xmas pisses me off. But Fjord played badly pisses me off too, because nobody likes getting spawn raped all game. It's not fun getting spawn raped. So I'm hoping, the only reason I'm doing this video is to tell the current players the importance of this. And maybe you knew this and you're like, Ponter, why are you telling me this? Shut the fuck up. Whatever. But of all the Fjord games I've seen played, no one's pushing this from the USSR side, and it's costing a lot of games, and it's pissing me off, and I don't want to like have to yell at you every time. This is me just milking caps. Like, thank you very much. You know, I don't want to have to keep telling people to push this damn hill, and to stop focusing on this shit. Like, look at this. Like, this is not a safe space. You know, it's not good to be here. It's very safe over here because it's so spread out, unless you get cluster bombed. And yeah, sure, that's an epic game. We beat up some noobs. You know, it's a 20k armor game against noobs, so it's not like, it's not much to brag about. But that's how you play Fjord. And I hope you guys learned something, and I hope this hasn't gone on for too long. You probably want to like have a drink when you watch this, but yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody.